What distinguishes Roger Williams University is we're a mid-sized university. We have a great hands-on component, so students get to work with faculty that have, in many cases, world-class research programs that they directly involve undergraduates with. Our undergraduates use cutting-edge instrumentation in the sciences.
I teach environmental chemistry, and my main focus is trying to align the lecture with what's going on in the environment. We're very lucky at Roger Williams. We have access to a new research vessel, the Invincible Spirit. This allows me to take the whole class out and actually describe how industry has impacted water quality, and this gives the students a tangible grasp on actually looking at the physical sites as well as then looking at the chemistry of the site, looking at chemicals that enter the water, how they're distributed, what speciation. And in the lab, the students then do a suite of tests looking at the composition of both cations and anions. The instruments that we end up using are those instruments that would actually be found in industry and in graduate school, so they're getting a true experience of what they could be exposed to in their later careers.
What's called in our field the high impact practices, and in the School of Social and Natural Sciences, those are things like independent research projects, directed study, and community engaged learning. And so what that allows them to do primarily is to connect their knowing with their doing.
In emergencies, you really don't hear about the emergency managers, but they are on the scene because they're the people in the background. My name is Emma Fieli, and I'm interning at Providence Management Agency in Office of Homeland Security. There's no plan that's set in place. It's always fluid, it's always updating, it's always moving. We're constantly training people, getting them up to speed, informing the public on what they can do to better prepare for any incident or disaster. I'm not just preparing for an incident, I'm preparing myself for any job or career that I'm going to end up in.
What this allows our students to do is to connect theory with practice, connect what they're learning in the classroom with the real world. And again, this is some practice that is also valued by employers.
Without my education from Roger Williams, I would not be here today, and my research over every 4 summers while I was there really shaped me as an individual, and it really makes me feel like I have something to show about, not just my college degree, but also I went the next step beyond, and now I have articles that were published with my name in them, and things like that should just make me feel like I really solidified my college career with not just a degree. All of my lab skills have translated for sure. Dr. Breen and David Taylor had me pipetting, they had me using nitrogen and different acids and bases, like from just within my research, but also from like organic and inorganic chemistry. So all of those kind of skills that were in the lab attached to my courses have helped me be a good scientist here. Go science!
We have students in our public health classes who are working in the community doing projects, for example, investigating Lyme disease rates. They're doing projects looking at the various barrios around town and seeing how much fresh food is available, where are the nutrient deserts, and how that can inform community planning policy.
To understand and appreciate food insecurity and what families face, we created the Iron Chef competition, where they compete against one another in teams on a limited budget.
We each got different stores that we had to go to, and really that kind of reflects the availability of what kind of food people have depending on where we live. And then the added challenge of only having $10 to spend is really almost twice as much as most people have when they're on the SNAP budget.
We took students to the East Bay Community Action Program. They learned about WIC, they learned about SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Program. They also learned about the challenges of those programs.
Not everyone's got 2 hours to make their food and then an hour to eat it and clean it up and get ready for the next day.
Especially if people are working like 2 or 3 part-time jobs and having to go to all the meetings with AdCap and things like that.
Or if you're staying in a night shelter that only lets you in there for a very set number of hours a day, you don't want to spend most of it standing in front of a stove.
When they're doing negotiation in a political science class where they're basically role-playing as members of various factions in Middle Eastern politics, they do these things, and then you ask them, suppose you have a job interview, and the job doesn't have anything to do with international relations. The job doesn't have anything to do with biological research. Could you leverage your experience on this project in your interview process? When you ask students those questions and point out how their actual experience on a project, regardless of what it is, can be leveraged in a broader way in a job interview, they get it like that.